Hello again. I was at a Toastmasters meeting this evening, and any of you who've ever been to a Toastmasters meeting know that we do what's called table topics, which is impromptu speaking. Somebody will stand up in front of the room and say a couple sentences or whatever and ask a question and say, point to somebody and say, "You're on." And the idea is to stand up, give a little talk, 2 to 3 minutes on the topic. Or it's 1 to 2 minutes, I guess. I forget now. Anyway, about 2 minutes. About 2 minutes. And the one I got tonight was along the lines of, this is a farming region mostly. The idea is, sometimes farmers get all kinds of rain, sometimes snow. We just, it's about seeding time. We had close to a foot of snow a few days ago. These are the kind of things that can happen, right? Hailstorms can come through and wipe out the whole crop, this sort of thing. So the question was, if these sort of natural disasters happen periodically, if I was an advisor to the provincial government, what would be my advice? Well, it didn't take me long to think, and think about what I would do. And if you've listened to any of my other stuff before, it wouldn't take you long to figure out what my response would be either. Basically, I stood up and said, being anarchistic by nature, I can't help but saying my only response would be to stay the hell away from it. Leave the farmers alone. It's like they're too overregulated anyway. Just leave them alone. Farmers have been known to be, especially, well, most places, but in this place it's very rugged conditions to be able to farm. They're the toughest, most rugged people known to anybody. They don't need the government's help. In fact, I went on to give a few examples. I didn't have any data per se, but I looked it up since. There was a thing, government, they keep on meddling in things. They figure, let's aid this farming sector and that farming sector. There was this is socialist experiment called Saskatchewan. I don't know, it might have been 20 years ago or 15 years ago or whatever. That they decided they would grow potatoes. So Saskatchewan's not growing very many potatoes. Government gets out there and says, we're going to help people grow potatoes. So they start this Crown Corporation thing called Spudco. And, well, actually, several different potato companies. One was called Valley Potato Corporation. It was owned by the government, or subsidized by the government or whatever. And here's one post. It's a while ago now, September 2001. This particular farm lost $700,000 in the first half of the year. And then it says, prior to that, the company was operated by Spudco, a division of Saskwater, which is a government department of some sort, and it lost $10 million in 3 years. That's what you get, government in there doing something, and these are people who don't know anything about business and everything about just throwing money around to whoever they think is going to help them. And it certainly doesn't help anybody. I mean, look at anywhere that's heavily subsidized, that's central planned. I mean, look at communist Russia. Look what their disaster was with government involvement in collective farming and such like that. I mean, to the extreme, right? The more there is, the worse off everybody is. The less there is of government intervention, the better off everybody else is. I used another example of where I grew up, on the eastern seaboard there. There was a government boondoggle called Devco. Now, my goodness, what a disaster. They had this idea that because farms were declining and so on, that the ideal solution was to bring in sheep, because it's Nova Scotia, right? It looks like Scotland. That means New Scotland. Sheep do well in Scotland. Let's promote sheep here. So they sent some junket over there and over to Scotland to see what they did, and they bought like several thousand pedigree North Country Cheviot sheep, put them on 747s, Boeing 747s, and flew them to Nova Scotia. Spent millions of dollars over the next 2 years buying pickup trucks for everybody who could drive one, and setting up this whole fake farming industry of sheep, you know. And of course, as soon as the funding dried up from the government slush fund that was coming its way, away went the sheep, you know, because it wasn't suitable. The thing is, aside from the whole nonsense of it, of people telling farmers how to farm, aside from that, there's this the bureaucracy involved. I mean, you got minions sitting in offices in ivory towers trying to figure out what a farm is going to do. Like, how does that make any sense whatsoever? So my comment was just stay away, and stay away from most everything. You know, as somebody who's anarchistic by nature, stay the hell away from it. We don't need to be governed. If we wanted to be governed, we'll sign up for some governance program, some insurance company or something like that. Let it be voluntary. How does this improve the quality of our life experience? Well, just by, once again, realizing that just observing things. Whenever you have more coercion, and that's what government is. Government is violence and coercion. That's all it is. Whenever you have that, productivity goes down, because productivity does best in a free market of ideas, a free market of exchange. I mean, if you and I want to have a conversation, if we don't have a watchdog sitting here telling us what we have to communicate about, then we just have a free communication. That is, a free market of ideas would flow. It's the same anywhere else. When people are free to exchange what they have by their own free will, then they will naturally be more efficient. And that's the basis of why I said, you know, government, stay away. That would be my advice. So, hope this is helpful, for whatever it's worth. It's great talking again. We'll talk again soon. My name is Steve.